All right, so paella. Today's deep dive is taking us right to the heart of Spanish cuisine. And honestly, when I pictured paella in my head, I was thinking like sunshine, seaside restaurants, those massive pans
Ah,
overflowing with
oh,
seafood.
absolutely. The classic image.
But I have a feeling there's more to this story, right? Like, what's the real deal with paella?
Way more than meets the eye. Paella's got a history that's as rich and layered as the dish itself. We're talking centuries of tradition, regional variations, passionate debates about authenticity.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my interest. So where do we even begin? Is it one of those dishes with like a hazy origin story, or can we pinpoint its birthplace?
We can absolutely pinpoint it. Valencia, Spain. That's where paella's heart beats. And to really understand it, we need to go way back. Think centuries ago when the Moors brought rice to this region.
Ah, so rice isn't just an ingredient here. It's practically a historical figure.
Exactly. It's all connected to the land, the people, the history, and we're not talking fancy imported rice either. This was about resourcefulness.
Hmm.
Imagine Valencian farmers working the fields, needing a meal that was both affordable and would stick to their ribs.
Okay, so maybe not the seafood extravaganza I was initially picturing.
Not quite. Early paella was all about using what the land provided. Rice, of course, was essential, but also think seasonal vegetables, snails.
Nails. Okay, now hold on a minute. My paella knowledge might need a serious upgrade here.
And if they were lucky, maybe some rabbit or duck would find its way into the mix.
Wow. So it was really about making the most of what they had available.
Absolutely. It's a dish born out of practicality and resourcefulness.
Okay, fascinating. But speaking of real paella, I've heard there's a specific kind of paella that's considered like the OG, the ultimate classic. What's the story there?
You're thinking of Paella Valenciana, the original, the one that dates back to at least the mid-1800s with documented recipes.
Okay, so paella valenciana, what makes it so special? What are the non-negotiables?
Simplicity is key. You're looking at a specific short grain rice, green beans, rabbit, chicken. Snails are a bit of a wild card. Some consider them essential, others not so much.
Wait, really? Even the true paella has its controversies. I'm kind of loving this.
Oh, absolutely. In Valencia, people take their paella very seriously. Very seriously. In fact, there's even a regulatory body.
Oh, this is where it gets good. A paella regulatory body. Tell me more.
It's called the Consejo Regulador de la Denominación de Origen Arroz de Valencia.
Try saying that 5 times
I
fast.
know it's a mouthful, right? But they're the ones who determine what rice can even be called Valencian for use in paella.
Wow. A Paio Rice Certification Board. That's dedication. I mean, I love a good tradition, but that's next level commitment.
It might seem over the top to some, but it shows you how deeply ingrained paella is in the culture. This isn't just dinner, it's a symbol of their heritage. It's serious business.
Okay, so we've got Paella Valenciana rooted in tradition, and then we've got seafood entering the mix with Paella de Mariscos.
Mhm.
So where do we go from there? Is that where the story ends, or did paella take on a life of its own?
Oh, it definitely took on a life of its own. Once seafood made its grand entrance, it was like opening the floodgates for culinary creativity.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So we're talking some seriously inventive paella variations.
Think chorizo, that smoky, spicy kick. Then you've got artichokes bringing those earthy, deeper flavors. And get this, there's even squid ink paella.
Hold on, squid ink paella. Now that's something I've never even heard of before.
It's a whole experience, believe me. But that's what I mean. Paella has evolved from those humble farm-to-table origins into this incredibly diverse canvas for culinary innovation.
I mean, that's pretty incredible when you think about it. But with all these modern twists and turns, at what point does it stop being, authentic paella? Is there some sort of paella rule book out there?
That's the million-dollar question, my friend. And trust me, you don't want to get caught in the crossfire of those debates. Some paella purists will tell you that any deviation from those traditional ingredients is practically sacrilege.
They don't mess around.
Not one bit.
Mhm.
But then there's the other side that says paella's true beauty lies in its adaptability. It's about embracing new flavors, local ingredients, putting your own spin on a classic.
Okay, so for someone like me who's now on this paella discovery journey, where do I even start?
My advice, start with the classic paella valenciana. You've got to understand the heart and soul of this dish, right? Then dive into that paella de mariscos, explore those fantastic coastal flavors.
And maybe work up the courage to try a squid ink paella.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to branch out. Paella is about more than just what's on your plate. It's an experience. It's about opening your mind, your palate, to a whole new world of flavors and the culture that created them.
It really is fascinating. This dish that started with farmers needing a hearty meal, has become this incredible culinary journey.
It really speaks to the power of food, doesn't it? I mean, food connects us to history, to different cultures, to each other. It's more than just sustenance, it's a shared experience.
Totally. And speaking of shared experiences, you mentioned paella being a social thing. So it's not just about the food, it's about who you're enjoying it with.
You hit the nail on the head. Paella, at its heart, is all about sharing. It's about gathering your loved ones, friends, family, everyone huddled around this incredible pan of food, sharing stories, laughter. It's about connection.
Okay, now you're painting a picture I can get behind. Warm summer evening in Valencia, laughter filling the air, and right at the center of it all.
A steaming paella pan, of course. The aromas just wafting through the air, beckoning everyone to gather round. It's a feast for the senses, truly. A celebration of life, really.
I can practically hear the sizzle of the rice.
Yeah.
Smell that saffron.
And during festivals in Valencia, like Las Fallas, they don't hold back. They create these massive paellas, big enough to feed hundreds of people. The energy is electric, everyone coming together to share a meal, a tradition. It's really something special to witness.
It sounds absolutely incredible. And while I might not be able to hop on a plane to Valencia right now, what you're describing makes me think there's something unique about paella, even outside of Spain.
And what's that?
It's that chance to recreate that connection.
Yeah.
You know, even if we're not in Valencia, the act of bringing people together, sharing stories over a paella, it's like capturing a little piece of that magic, wouldn't you say?
Without a doubt. It's about honoring the spirit of paella wherever you are in the world.
You know, it's amazing how we started with just paella and somehow ended up on this incredible culinary journey through history and culture and tradition.
It's all connected, really, isn't it? The history, the people, the land, all coming together on a single plate.
You've definitely given us a lot to think about. Like, who knew there was so much to learn about rice? I mean, those surprisingly humble beginnings, the evolution over time, that almost sacred role it plays in Valencian culture.
And let's not forget those passionate debates about what makes a real paella. People have strong opinions when it comes to their food.
They sure do. I mean, I knew food was a big deal, but wow. Okay, before we wrap up, any final words of wisdom for our listeners? Maybe someone out there is feeling inspired to try their hand at paella, maybe even book a trip to Valencia.
I'd say embrace the journey. Don't be afraid to experiment in the kitchen, try different variations, add your own personal flair.
Make it your own.
Exactly. But also, take a moment to appreciate the centuries of tradition behind every grain of rice. There's something really special about that.
Beautifully said. A huge thank you to you, our paella expert, for guiding us through this delicious deep dive.
My pleasure entirely. Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, as always, thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We hope you learned something new today and maybe feel a little inspired to gather your own friends and family around a big pan of paella. Until next time, happy cooking, and as always, happy listening.